2025 is arguably one of the most important years in the history of the U.S. men's national team as we gear up to a home World Cup. And in this episode, we are going to break down what a successful year would look like for the Stars and Stripes. We're going to try to treat this kind of like a checklist. What does success look like for the three main parties involved, that being the team itself, Pochettino, and the players? Before we get into this, if you guys like videos about the U.S. men's national team, make sure you hit subscribe. We're going to be dropping more videos covering the Nations League soon on the channel, so do not miss that. Let's start with success in 2025 for the program. I feel like Nick Saban, for the program of the U.S. men's national team, right? I'm going to intro us here. We have two main tournaments inside CONCACAF this year. We have the Nations League in March, and we have the Gold Cup in the summer. Now, for the sake of this conversation, let's assume the Gold Cup will be taken seriously. It will not be treated as Mickey Mouse. If it is treated as Mickey Mouse, hit subscribe because I will rant about that for 15 minutes at a later date. Connor, I'll come to you. For the program of the U.S. men's national team, what does success look like at these two tournaments, do you think?
Okay, so for the three branches that make up this program, i.e. the program as a whole, the players, and Pochettino, I find that there's a lot of overlap, right? So if Poch does something well, or if he's responsible for something, I think that that is a key indicator that the program is doing well, right? Now, if the program does something successfully, that's going to shine very positively on Poch, and that's just another feather in his cap. So just bear with me if there's some overlap here. I think I'll just go into like some of the implications for those. Namely, and frankly, this is lowest priority to me. This is an easy check on the box, is a trophy.
The tournaments.
Give me one trophy. I don't give a damn which trophy it is. Give me a trophy. Because guess what? No matter what, somebody's going to call them Mickey Mouse. So prioritize one of them. Bring the A game to one of them. Get it out of the way early. Get it out of the way early so the pressure's off. Monkey's off the back. You did it. You did it. You're already up there with Berhalter and Klinsmann and whatever. Done. The end. Okay? Just get that out of the way early. I think the priority here, and what I would be most thankful for this program, determining success for this program, is a World Cup run. And I'm saying minimum. Like we all know, Poch was brought in, the players are here, everybody's set. We want a World Cup run. That's the objective. Minimum has to be non-negotiable quarterfinals. Outside of that, if the quarterfinals are not achieved, failure for Poch, for the players, for the program. Non-negotiable.
For that, I agree. But the World Cup's in 2026. Yeah. So are you saying that regardless of what happens in the in the tournaments this year, that a quarterfinal World Cup absolves all sin?
I'm more saying that if we don't get a quarterfinal, it doesn't matter what trophies you win. Now, here's where the overlap begins.
Okay.
If you develop youth and if you get our program into the right shape, I think an argument could be made for the program being in good standing, for Poch doing a good job, for the players developing properly. You can salvage something there. But without at least a respectable run in the World Cup, it doesn't matter. So this year, 2025, if we are in good position going into 2026 for the World Cup, that means at least a trophy. I'm feeling like we're in a good place. That would make me happy with the program.
Okay. Hayden, how do you feel about this? Because I come from the tournaments angle very differently from Connor. And we'll get into this when we talk about success for Pochettino as well. The bar is very high. People say, oh, well, the football wasn't pretty. Greg Berhalter won trophies for this program. Now, I don't think he's the GOAT, but he was overseeing the dominance, the three-peat of the United States in the Nations League. For me personally, it would be difficult to say that a runners-up at the Nations League would be a success for Pochettino, or that, God forbid, both the Nations League and the Gold Cup are seceded to Mexico, Panama, Canada, something like that. I mean, if I'll tell you this, if Canada do the goddamn double this year, I mean, I guess the quarterfinal World Cup would look all pretty. That's a fucking L. Like 100% colossal failure, in my opinion. And I think there would be pressure on his job. I really do.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He needs one. He needs one.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that you bring up Canada because they're a huge part of what I think would be a successful 2025 for the US. Because
Yes.
every few months, I watch Deadball TV and I hear you guys talk about how Canada is coming for the crown. And you're saying basically it's TBD because if Canada is able to win a trophy and beat the US while doing it in this coming year, they have a real case for that. For the Federation, I think the objectives are pretty simple. Obviously, this is all in preparation for 2026. Let's be real. If Poch does not win a trophy in 2025, nobody will care if the U.S. men's national team makes it to a semifinals in 2026. No, everybody will forget about what happened in 2025, and it'll be all about the World Cup. In order to build the good vibes and the confidence that I think this team ideally should have going into hosting a World Cup, and the other part of this too is that the U.S. is relatively limited in the kinds of teams that they're able to play at any given time. So Canada might be the best team that we play in this year. So to me, success would look like winning at least one trophy and beating Canada deep in that tournament to do it. There, at least you can plant your flag and say, Mexico's not even part of the conversation right now. And Canada, sit down, pat them on the head. It's not your time yet, right? I think at that point, you can say confidently you are the kings of CONCACAF. And then those vibes that the Federation wants to have, and so they can fill seats for the friendlies, because frankly, that's all they really care about. That's why we play every single game at home. Then you're going to start seeing those good vibes. People are going to start trusting the Federation a little bit more. They're building goodwill by splashing some cash on Pochettino. I think, yeah, listen, there's a chance that the Gold Cup is not treated as respectfully as it should be. But if they win the Nations League and they beat Canada in the finals or whatever it happens, I think that's a really good start, given the lack of, quote, resources that the U.S. has in terms of potential competition.
Quick reaction to that. I'm one of the people where international football is extremely important to how I view the game. And I have a special disdain for people who disregard tournaments like the African Cup of Nations or the Asian Cup and they say, oh, it's all about the World Cup. Like, I had beef. The one time in my life that I had beef with some of the Japanese fan base was after the Asian Cup when Japan was eliminated in the quarterfinals to Iran. And I said, this is a goddamn L. And some Japanese fans said, well, if we do it at the World Cup, it won't matter. No, it matters. I'm sorry, it matters. You cannot surrender, in this case, an Asian Cup to Qatar and say, well, if we do better in 3 years at the World Cup, it won't mean anything. It still kind of means something, especially in the case of the United States. And this is where they're almost a curse of the previous success. Again, we'll get into Poch. If you've won 3 times in a row, you're winning trophies for fun. I was looking at the United States record in the Nations League in just the knockouts, not in the group stage. 6 games, 6 wins, obviously, because they're the 3-time champs. 3 goals conceded, 14 goals scored. This has been nothing short of a dog walking. It doesn't have to be a dog walking again, but if you surrender that, nah, bro, that's an L, especially for Pochettino, Mr. Bottler. I don't know, man. To me, I would say if you make a semifinals, maybe it overrides it. But for me personally, let me just finish here. In the comments, if the United States does not win either trophy, but they make a semifinal, success for Poch, yes or no, down below. For me, you have to make the semifinal. If the United States does not win the trophies and makes a quarterfinal, it ain't good enough. In my opinion, it's not good enough. You got to win the trophies. You got to still retain control of the region, in my opinion.
I think when we're thinking about this conversation, I totally agree with you. It's frankly, it's an embarrassment if the US doesn't make the finals to either of these tournaments. Like in general, like any given year, like we should be making the finals, bar none. Now,
Correct.
I think the real question though is how is this viewed internally? What do you think Pochettino and the federation, what is their mentality around it? Because I'm going to guarantee you, the lads over in England, over in Italy and Germany, a lot of them think that Pochettino's basically, on vacation right now. It is irrelevant until they see his face on the TV for the opening match of the World Cup. Pochettino is kind of like in the back rooms, like not doing anything. So like from a federation and Pochettino perspective, I don't know if they are putting as much weight on these tournaments as they did maybe with Greg, because that was kind of the highest level of achievement that they could probably get with someone of his caliber. So when I was thinking about success, I was thinking about from the federation's perspective.
Okay. For the federation, in my opinion, at the tournaments coming up, I think the United States needs one trophy
Yep.
and probably needs to lose in the final of the other one if
Yep.
they're not going to win it. So 2 finals appearances, 1 trophy. I think that would be success if Canada beats the US on penalties in the Gold Cup final. First off, that'd be incredible, I think, for the federation. I think you can live with that. However, if Panama beat the United States in the semifinals of the Nations League upcoming,
Ooh.
Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
And if that happens and then they don't win the Gold Cup, I think it spells doom. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It spells trouble, not doom. It spells trouble.
No. I think I focused a lot on the positive that would come from this and what winning would mean, but losing, I think you're right. You have to take that more into account. When I'm looking at what success for this federation means, right? I want the players to be in a good headspace. And I don't think that that's possible now that you guys are talking about it with losing in the semifinals, right? Or seeing ourselves vulnerable. Now, if there's like a Mickey Mouse squad and we've got, the U23s that played against Venezuela yesterday, we've got those lads out there, I don't think that losing would mean as much. But that would be a good way to get that trophy out of the way early so that we can focus on other things. A substitute for this, because I also value international competition. If we find ourselves, and Hayden, this plays into what you said, it's hard to find good competition. If we bow out somewhere and we focus our resources elsewhere and we get a couple games against European guys or African guys or Asian guys, that would be excellent. That would be outstanding. Frankly, I would prefer that to a deep run in a tournament like the Nations League or in a tournament like the Gold Cup. If I could get 4 matches against serious international competition, say, I don't know, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and then the Netherlands, and I don't even know, Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's like kind of
they trash.
They are trash, but that's a European style of play, and they're big, right? You understand what I'm saying, though. Getting competition away from home.
If we want a national team with big underperforming guys, we have Jamaica right there. We don't need
got
to
Jamaica
go
right
to
there. No, listen, I would rather at this point I would rather play the Jamaican B squad because that was the most thrilling game I've seen from them in damn near a decade.
They can hold a low block. Yeah,
they can hold a low block, for the love of God. I guess I agree with you guys, both at different points. I really want the mindset of this federation being good going into 2026, and I don't necessarily think that winning both trophies or making deep runs in both trophies. I think you get one out of the way so that Poch has a trophy, and we know we can do it with Poch. It's done. It's out of the way. We've got the monkey off our back. We can focus on other things now. I guess what I'm saying.
I think this is actually relevant when talking about what Pochettino's goals should be, because I think that if he does something, like one of my keys to him is about mentality for the squad and instilling a ruthless European mentality into these players to where when they come on the field, they are killers. Because we've talked about how there's some dogs on this team. There are some guys who are ruthless, like Tyler Adams, Christian Pulisic. But a lot of times when they're on their back heel, when they're not playing against teams that they should really be beating, they kind of fold. And so for me, if Pochettino can instill some real ruthless mentality to these guys, they'll probably win both trophies. And then it just kind of all solves itself. So I think so much of what Poch is needing to do is all on the mental side of the game. And with that, I know that we're hosting a World Cup in 2026. I would love to see us play a few games in Europe on the road or go to Montevideo and play Uruguay. Like, I think that would be so, so valuable to just understand what it's like to be in a adverse situation. Because even though we're hosting, there's going to be times when we're down 1-0 and it's the second half. And I mean, if we're playing Argentina, they're going to have plenty of their fans there when we're
It's
playing.
an away game.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if Poch can push for the right things and instill a certain level of confidence and ruthlessness to these guys, I think the results on the field will kind of just solve themselves.
For Pochettino, I had two main points for a successful 2025. Number one is signature wins. And to your point, Hayden, specifically signature wins, ideally away from home.
Yep.
Because it's been a long effing time since the U.S. beat anybody of note away. I mean, the last, like, if you want to say great away win, was Iran at the last World Cup. And before that, I don't know. Klinsmann might have been the manager. Like, I don't remember.
Germany.
Point is, it's been a while. Dude, that was like, what, 2015? Like,
Yeah, and
I mean,
Christian
this is
Pulisic sacrificed his testicles to do it.
Sacrificed his future children
Yeah.
to get that one away win. So
For the badge.
this also ties into the program. You need the signature win. You can't just keep beating Mexico. You need the
Right.
signature win. You need to beat a team, ideally away from home. And I think in the windows before the World Cup, where the United States obviously does not have to play qualifiers, there will be the opportunity to friendly teams during that window.
Yeah.
And then we get into the fascinating debate, like, do you send the B team again to the Gold Cup and send the A team to go play Senegal, Portugal, Japan in a set of friendlies? Comment down below which one you would rather do. A team to the Gold Cup or B team to the Gold Cup, and the first team goes and plays top teams in friendlies. So might not be as intensive an atmosphere. And number two, he's got to win a trophy. Like, if there's any international manager that is starving for a trophy, it's Pochettino because of his career at PSG and Spurs and Chelsea.
Pochettino and Bielsa, frankly. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to take away from the fact or use a different dialogue here with Pochettino, hold him to different standards than I do Bielsa, because I'm gonna draw some parallels between them here in a second. The trophy is a non-negotiable. You have to have one. But the reason I say that was the lowest priority is because, we've done that, and in my opinion, losing those trophies doesn't make you a bad team. But it is it's a non-negotiable, but we got a lot of non-negotiables here. Success for this, the expectations that we have now, we've got a lot. And frankly, the amount that we're paying him and the names that we've got on this team and in the coaching staff, I can ask for this much. I don't think it's unreasonable. So as far as non-negotiables go, I'd say trophy for Poch, okay. The bottom. The things that I think build towards that and build towards greater success, i.e. looking relevant at the World Cup for Poch, I think, trophy's very important. I think the mentality is important. But what I think you have to do before that is I think he has to build credit with his players because they know that he is a good coach. Like, we know this, right? They're paying him a bag. He's here. It's done. He's a good coach. What you need to see is a tangible result. And I think that Bielsa bought that early with Uruguay by getting somebody like Darwin Nunez firing. It made him relevant in Liverpool. He was tearing it up in CONMEBOL qualifying. And I'd like to see something like that happen here. This is where some of the overlap happens because this comes into the team expectations. What do we want from the players as well? I think Poch has to get one or two guys firing, like in form, like a renaissance in their career. that you can point to Poch and say, this guy got one-on-one with them and is developing them. So I need to see, I don't know, a Gio Reyna, a Timothy Weah, a Tyler Adams return to form. Like if Adams gets to a point where he's a lockdown and a lock and he's wearing the armband for, God willing, his ACL holds up or his hamstring or whatever it is, 70 minutes a game wearing the captain's armband while Pulisic is on the field, I think that's pretty huge.
See, that's kind of interesting. I feel like his main challenge with the personnel, or at least the first one to solve, is going to be the back line, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Ream's done. I'm sorry, he is. So who's it going to be? Because it's time for somebody in the back line to step up and be the dog. Like, because there really isn't one right now. I mean, I assume it will be Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie. I assume that will be the CB pairing going forward. Maybe Miles Robinson gets back in there, though. I don't know. It's not impossible.
One of my points for the players is that we have to see competence from MLS players. And I don't need them to be like the stars that he has to develop, but I need him and I need the players to raise that standard, because I'm going to level with you. Argentina doesn't win the World Cup or the Copa America without Montiel. Full stop. My boy was playing in River, and then he went to Europe. He was playing really well under Scaloni, went to Europe, kind of, sort of, and then comes all the way back at River now. But and Acuna too. I'm just saying, you've got to raise those lower guys to a standard to where they're giving 120%, you know?
Well, and that's the system.
That is,
you got to find the system for the personnel.
And what's so important about that specifically, I had tactical prowess on Pochettino, is finding a system that empowers the guys you have.
Yes.
With Greg, we saw every single game, cross, 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 and Haji Wright, cross. And it got frustrating because you saw the talent that was there. You can see it in your mind's eye. Like if you're playing Football Manager, we could all just hop in the tactics screen, put a few settings on and be like, this is what I want to see from the U.S. men's national team. If Pochettino can build a custom system and tactic for these guys to empower them to be who they're supposed to be, then they could potentially actually reach that potential that we've seen from when they were the baby Eagles, and we were so excited about what this team could look like as they come into the primes of their career. That's what was so frustrating about Greg, is we felt like this so many of these guys were being wasted by this system. And if Pochettino can build that system, and by the way, make adjustments in second halves when they're down 1-0 or they've been struggling to get good looks at goal, or leaking out of the back, like that will be something that will feel like a real change, a real tangible difference that's worth the money that the Federation spent to upgrade the coaching spot.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see the change in performance, both offensively and defensively. Like, let's not forget, Pochettino ball is rather offensive, and we've really only seen, 90 minutes of true Poch ball with the A-team.
Yeah,
that's the game against Panama.
Right.
Guess what? Panama should have tied that game. Maybe even won. So this is, again, going back to, for the program, this is why I feel like U.S. fans are in this weird situation where it's an afterthought to win CONCACAF. Guess what, bruh? It's getting better. The Federation is getting better. These days of just swatting aside Canada and stuff, they will come to an end eventually. I'm not saying it's coming to an end in 3 months during the next Nations League, but put your goddamn foot down and say, we're still the king. And this other mini narrative to watch with Pochettino is, I need to see him outduel the other managers in the region, because did he do a better job than Thomas Christensen when they played Panama? Not really. Not really. U.S. has better players, so they won the game. But it wasn't like he spanked Thomas Christensen. Now, again, I'm not drawing strong conclusions. Poch he's got, 5 games now with this little Venezuela cupcake game, whatever. But when the United States played Canada, they got crushed under Jesse Marsch. You got to get the next one back, dude. That's a thing for Poch. You're the tactical masterclass. You're one of the greatest managerial appointments in the history of CONCACAF. Go show it. Play some pretty ball, get some dubs against the other teams.
And to be fair to Pochettino too, I can't I can't imagine that he's ever okay with losing to sides like Mexico and Canada when he's coming from coaching Spurs and PSG and all these elite level clubs. He probably to himself is like, I should know how to beat these guys. I should know how to run circles around them tactically. And to again, I think, just from the kind of coach that Pochettino is, and hopefully the intangibles that he's going to instill in these guys, hopefully the results on the field will kind of just figure themselves out at that point.
You want to talk about the players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to start off by saying that I want to go back to the MLS discussion. Your system has to be in place so that these guys can succeed. That's fantastic. That's fine. You cannot eliminate them because our talent pool is not so deep that we can allow ourselves to prioritize our good players and forget about the other guys. No. We need and I know that Joe Scally plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach, but we need the Joe Scallys, the guys that have kind of been forgotten, pushed by the wayside, still playing in MLS, right? The guys who don't make the headlines. We need them to do well because we are a significantly better team when Joe Scally is playing well.
And Connor,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, but there's going to be a time in 2026 where an MLS player is going to come up to the touchline when he's subbing in the 60th minute, and we're going to all hold our breath because we're like, oh my God.
It's going to be Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Please hold it together. Please.
No,
And
he's
those guys need to be able to put in a good 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And us walk away from the TV and be like, man, he did all right, So like we to your point, we do need to invest in those guys.
100%.
And they should be good enough to perform because Moise Bombito was at MLS 3 months ago. He was an MLS player at the Copa America. So
I literally
this
have
into the whole. Yeah,
yes,
go.
I have Schaffelberg and Bombito written down here. Players for player success in 2025. We need two of those. I don't care if they're youth prospects. I don't care if they're MLS guys, but this plays in for this success would obviously be a huge boon for the federation overall, but this plays into the players themselves and the mentality and Pochettino's record. This goes directly for them. Two guys need to step up so that we can perform. And I don't care if it's somebody to replace Timothy Weah. I don't care if it's somebody to replace Ream. I don't care. You know what? I do care. We've got the goalkeeper, whatever. That's okay. I need a defender or I need a forward. I need two guys, two studs to step up. Somebody to be developed there. I don't care if Giovani Reyna finally figures it out on the right wing. Give a damn. We need two guys. We need examples to show the rest of the team we can step up here. There can be progression here. My career and personal development is not limited to my club or wherever I am. When I go to these camps, when I show up to talk to Pochettino and hang out with my boys that I haven't seen in 3 or 4 months, I need to be able to progress my game here. Because if they can figure that out, that's going to set an example inherently to the rest of the guys. The MLS guys, the young guys, everybody that steps foot into camp says, okay, I can see real progress here. This isn't just an additional paycheck or clout for my resume. I can do better here. So I'm going to push myself to be better. We need that.
Yeah, I guess zooming out, you're basically saying that success for the players is new ones are discovered, essentially.
Yeah.
New ones or development. There needs to be signs of life that we are growing. Not just in performances. We cannot just hone what we have. We need to farm other things. That sends a message to everybody there. For instance, let's go to Argentina. I love to do this. De Paul, we saw him playing games against Mexico and San Antonio, right? And I know he was playing next to Lautaro, but De Paul balled out in that game. He balled out. Not from irrelevance. I wouldn't say he was an irrelevant player, but he wasn't on the radar. He wasn't an up-and-comer. Now he's a key part of Simeone's plan at Atletico Madrid. We need American players to look at this and say, oh, Shit. You know, Joe Scally over here, he's not just limited to Borussia Mönchengladbach. You know, if Cameron Carter-Vickers figures it out and he makes better decisions, I'm not just going to be limited to Celtic my entire life. I could make a jump to Fulham. Or, oh my God, Tyler Adams is figuring it out with Bournemouth. I can do that. I can be a Prem caliber player. I can go to Serie A. I can do these things. It needs to be proven that it can be done. It's like, dude, you want to talk about fight night, or another example that is in American football. Let's go to UFC. Somebody needs to beat the hell out of these freaking bearded wrestlers. Where are they from? The Dagestanis. These guys are freaks. Yes. They are dominant because nobody thinks they can do it. They've lost, twice. Somebody beats them, all of a sudden it's possible.
I think this is really relevant with our top end talent as well. Like with Christian Pulisic. He made one change, one move, and it changed the entire trajectory of his career. With Anthony Robinson, there's reports that he might be on the he might be potentially looking to move to Liverpool in the summer. And if you can get a guy like Anthony Robinson having the confidence to say, I am the best fullback in the Prem, and I can stake a claim that I am world class. I might be the best fullback in CONCACAF. Forget Alphonso Davies. Doesn't matter if that's true, but if he starts telling himself that it is, then you have, in the forwards, you have Christian Pulisic. In the midfield, you have Tyler Adams. And in the back line, you have a guy who can truly say, I am the leader of this section of the team. And when I'm on the field, we have a chance. And so I think that's kind of the next step too, is elevating our top end talent to the point where it's like, we're no longer talking about the idea of these guys. We're talking about what they've actually consistently shown on the pitch.
Yeah. It's interesting you say Jedi Robinson. For me, this is a layup, Gio Reyna. Like, that's the guy. Is there another guy that needs to glow up more than Gio Reyna?
He's the Zion
Dortmund
Williamson of the U.S. men's national team.
100%. It ain't working, bro. Go somewhere else. Like,
that's crazy that I just said that. Oh my God.
We could talk about Jedi and be like, should you go somewhere else? I would argue Fulham. I mean, dude, he's about to hit double-digit assists with Fulham.
Yes.
Is he good enough? Yes, he absolutely is. But it's like, it ain't broke, so don't fix it. Dortmund is beyond broken. Beyond broken. You've wasted 3 years. Get the fuck out.
And don't go to the Prem.
He's the one.
Don't go to the Prem.
And don't go to the... Dude, he's going to last 12 minutes in the Prem before he pulls his hamstring. Are you kidding me? It should be Serie A or La Liga.
Yeah.
That's it. Period. You're not going to make it in France. You're not going to make it in
Serie A. It should be Serie A. And we can go into a larger discussion about this on a different pod. But listen, if we start farming that talent to a Serie A or to a specific league, right? Not just to the Prem and, amorphous leagues that fall underneath the top 5 or top 4 over there. That's a reputation that we have, and that becomes a valid career path. And all of a sudden, U.S. players are dying to get into the camp. All of a sudden, you start doing that, and then the competition breeds within itself. And if we look at it as in a large scope, these guys are dying for the badge because it means something to them. It means something to their careers. And inherently, you're doing it in the United States. You're doing it for your country, too.
Yeah. Gio Reyna he graduated with a BFA in philosophy from a prestigious university. And he's looking at, what's that online academy where you can learn coding and stuff?
DeVry?
No, well, no. I'm talking about, it's Udemy or something like that.
Yeah, Udemy, yeah. I was thinking Khan Academy or something. Yeah.
No, he's looking at Udemy and he's saying the 12-week coding boot camp. And he's thinking, I can make a little change, refocus, and go a whole other direction and reinvent myself. I think maybe Milan is Udemy. It worked for Christian Pulisic. He got a nice software engineering job. 6 figures.
Working from home.
Yeah.
If he's good enough for Milan.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's good enough for Milan, dude. I really don't.
Screw it then. Screw
I
it.
really don't.
Get him somewhere else. Send him to Venezia. You
Real
bagged
Sociedad.
10 goals and 4 assists for
You gonna take
Venezia.
Bussio's spot? That's
Oh, no,
cannibalism
yeah,
now.
no.
Now you got cannibalism. Can't go to Venezia. Go to Como
Venezia,
or something.
Betis,
Dude,
yeah.
Gio Reyna at Como would go so hard. Like, you have no idea how hard that would go. Banger transfer. Would
And
be
then they get
incredible.
relegated.
And then get relegated. Well, and then he wasn't good enough, was he? I
Yeah.
don't know. If you're really him, step up. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at Dest and maybe like a Haji Wright. I feel like those are the guys right now that have a serious potential for a club upgrade. Like, I don't really think
who I'm looking at.
who.
I'm looking at Matthew Sargent.
Yeah.
Or Josh Sargent. Matthew Sargent.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Josh Sargent. I'm looking at Josh Sargent.
So that'll come down to like individual moves across Europe, who finds themselves in a more ideal position. I personally don't really think it's Pochettino's job to make the players better. He just needs to find one that works for the personnel in the U.S. men's national team pool, which Berhalter's system was too rigid. It didn't do that. I mean, it allowed certain players to excel and others were completely handicapped. So that's going to be the biggest thing for Poch. And just to recap everything, you guys let us know what you think down below in the comments. I'm saying 2 finals. This is success for the United States in 2025. 2 finals and a trophy in the CONCACAF domestic cups. I need some signature wins against somebody good, not in Ohio or Pennsylvania or Minnesota. And I need to see Pochettino win a trophy. And I need to see Pochettino as a manager outduel his rivals in CONCACAF to show that tactical brilliance that is associated with him inside the federation. And ideally, we see a couple players find themselves in more ideal settings, like Pulisic at Milan, like McKinney has turned Juventus into actually a good thing, and after being on the trade block for 5 years, things like that. I think that would make a successful 2025 for the U.S. men's national team. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add before we end the episode.
Udemy, 50% off on coding boot camps right now until use code Hayden at checkout and start your new life.
Start your new life. Structure your weekend 50% Dead Ball TV, 50% coding classes. Now that sounds like a blast.
You'll be working from home and an expert in Asian, European, and South American ball knowledge inside of 12 weeks.
In case you ever need to use that during your coding day to day. In case anybody ever asks you who won the 2007 Asian Cup.
You can go join Klopp's marketing team or his his cybersecurity team over his director of football for who is it? Puma? Who is it? Who's he director of football for?
I don't know,
Klopp
Connor.
Working for Red Bull?
Oh yeah, Red Bull World Football Relations or something like that.
Something like. Is it one specific club? I thought it was Red Bull as an organization.
Red Bull, something like that. Yeah.
It might be Leipzig. I don't know.
No.
It is.
It's a bigger organization. It's a corporation.
Okay.
He's got a corporate job.
He's got a corporate job, just like us. Do we have corporate jobs? Connor, are you considered a corporate job?
Actually, yes, because we are a for-profit charter school. So,
hell yeah.
All right. Actually,
hell no.
Hayden does not have a corporate job.
Startup, baby.
Hayden broke free, much like we hope to see the United States break free of the Berhalter constraints in 2025. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you drop it a like. Again, another reminder, we're going to be talking about the Nations League, dropping some comprehensive coverage of the tournament coming soon. That's just in like 60 days, y'all. Like it is all happening so fast. World Cup in 18 months. It's madness. Subscribe to Dead Ball TV. Don't miss anything. Check us out on social media. Link in the description. And we'll see you guys in the next one.